Mark Twain once quipped that quitting smoking was the easiest thing in the world. He'd done it 1,000 times. Why that's funny, and as a smoker I know, is because for most of us ex-smokers, it didn't just take one attempt. It took years and years and years of struggle. I began smoking at 14 years old, and for the next 30-odd years, I was completely in the grasp of a full-blown nicotine addiction. I tried multiple things over the course of the years and finally was able to find that thing that worked for me. I was lucky. And because I was lucky, and because I know how hard it is to quit smoking, I am totally behind the Affordable Care Act and the legislation having to do with tobacco cessation. Now, under Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act, or ACA, which I will refer to it as, tobacco cessation programs must be offered under new insurance contracts. And what they must offer is fairly specific. They must offer access to medications that are approved by FDA that are found to be helpful in quitting smoking. They also must offer at least 2 counseling sessions a year. And the important thing is that these things are offered free of charge. Now, there is a limit. This can only happen twice a year. So if a smoker begins in the beginning of the calendar year and is unsuccessful, they can try again within that calendar year, and everything is covered under ACA. Now, this is a wonderful thing, but I have some issues with the way things are done right now. Insurance companies are required to offer comprehensive tobacco cessation coverage, but unfortunately they either are A, not complying, or when they are complying, the language is not clear enough for a healthcare consumer to really understand. And I think that they're not doing a good job getting across to the healthcare consumer that this is part of their coverage. According to the Health Policy Institute of Georgetown University, tobacco is the leading cause of death in America, killing about 400,000 Americans a year. Not only, but it's costing about $139 billion in healthcare costs and lost productivity. Now, experts seem to agree that in any current year, about 70% of smokers would really like to quit smoking. Of that group, 50% do make an attempt each year. And of that 50%, only about 3% are successful going cold turkey in quitting smoking. Now, given the cost of the healthcare disaster, COPD, cancer, bronchitis, etc., not only is it the humane thing to do to assist smokers in quitting smoking, but it's also the fiscally responsible thing to do. So the question is, does the ACA, as it is currently being enforced, do enough? Well, the Affordable Care Act requires that all new insurance companies make provision and cover free of cost smoking cessation products. Unfortunately, as it stands, not all insurance companies comply. According to one group of researchers, according to the American Lung Association, they found that 20% of plan insurers were offering insufficient coverage, and fewer than 50% were offering the whole spectrum of medications available and approved by FDA to help smokers quit. Beyond lacking in coverage, even when the coverage is provided, how well do insurance companies do in helping consumers understand the coverage? Well, according to one group of researchers from the Georgetown University Health Policy Institute, despite the requirements of the ACA law, the policies that are being written are vague and sometimes contradictory. They say that not all policies explicitly indicate that smoking cessation treatment is a covered benefit, and that some contracts have provisions that appear to exclude tobacco cessation benefits altogether, or make conflicting provisions that make the scope of the benefit unclear. That even when these contracts are clear about covering tobacco cessation treatment, they do not clearly specify what types of treatment are covered, or that, in fact, there's no cost requirement. Well, that's an issue, because a lot of these medications and treatments can be quite expensive. If a consumer does not understand that the federal requirements mean that there should be no out-of-pocket cost to them, they're going to be a little less likely to attempt that quit. The other point that I'd like to make that I have with this is that the federal government, the insurance companies, and even the state government are not doing a very good job of getting across what the requirements of the ACA are in terms of tobacco cessation programs. We have in the past run federal ads. You remember, this is your brain on drugs, this is an egg, those types of things. And even with the current opioid addiction, states are doing a fairly good job now of making it known what programs are available. We need to do the same thing with the ACA and insurance companies and tobacco cessation programs. So in summary, insurance companies should be required to comply with the ACA regulations. They should make their policies clear, and they should do a better job in getting across to the consumer that these benefits are available. Approximately 13,000 Americans died just in this day from smoking related injuries. In the time that it's taken me to do this speech, that means one person has died. Not only is it legally required for us to do a better job, but I think even morally we need to take advantage of the existing laws, enforce them, and not miss this opportunity.